So, Nettie.
Yes, Cris.
Let's introduce ourselves. Let's start off by introducing ourselves.
Yes,
Hi, I'm Cris Sgrott-Wheedleton, and I am ICD Current Marketing Director. And this is Coffee with Cris, where I'm going to interview some of the lovely ICD people on some of their what they found have been really useful about ICD, why they love being ICD subscribers, how long they have been here. And this is very casual, so don't go all up in a bunch if doesn't go as planned. But I'm going to start off this very first Coffee with Cris with Nettie Owens. So Nettie, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Nettie Owens, and I have a company, Sapari Solutions, in Havre de Grace, Maryland, which is close to Baltimore, if you haven't heard about it before. I've been a professional organizer since 2004. I've been an ICD member since 2010, and I am a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization. I specialize in working with chronically disorganized, but really specifically ADHD, anxiety, depression, and hoarding. So a little bit about me.
So Nettie, thank you for taking time of your busy day. I know you're a busy mom and you have 3 kids and you're running teams. So thank you so much for taking time of your busy schedule to have coffee with me and tell me all about ICD. You and I have known each other for a long time, so I feel like we're friends.
I would agree.
But thank you. But everybody at ICD World probably doesn't know you, and you just recently won Volunteer of the Year. So thank you so much for volunteering so much that you received that award. It's a very prestigious award. And there are so many people doing so many amazing things, but you clearly was like last year's highlight of the year. So thank you so much for doing that. But I wanted to just take a few minutes to so you have volunteered a lot and you have learned a lot. You have been organizing since 2004, you said?
I have. Mm-hmm.
That is quite a bit of time in organizing years. You're like a dog in organizing years. You could be organizing for like 7 years.
That's a lifetime, right?
It is a lifetime, right? In our industry, it is definitely a lifetime. But what I'm really curious about is what keeps somebody like you that already has all of the knowledge about organizing and people out in the world, what keeps you continuing to volunteer for ICD and continuing to subscribe?
That is a great question. And I think for me, it is that I continue to learn and develop and grow while I'm in ICD. So the information, there's always so much to learn. I've said that organizing isn't rocket science. If you're just looking at organizing itself, I mean, the kinds of stuff that organizers do, that doesn't really change over the years. But our understanding of the human brain, how it works, how we relate to other people, we're growing in that knowledge all the time. And ICD is the one place where you can connect all those dots, where you can take really neuroscience and apply it to the organizing environment and figure out at the root why people are having the challenges that they're having. There's nowhere else. There is not one other place on the planet where people are making those connections. So just from a education standpoint, I'm going to stay in it because I want to know more. From a professional standpoint, the relationships that I have, I met you, which has been lovely. And we actually had crossed paths in NAPO, but never really connected and formed the relationship that we have now because we're in ICD together. So I love that. There's others that I can say the same thing for, that I knew about them, I knew of them, but because we are collaborating in ICD, volunteering together and learning together, I've forged much stronger relationships. I can ask these folks questions, I can commiserate, and we can celebrate together, which is just wonderful. But the thing that I noticed, I was in ICD for years before I went to my first conference. In fact, I didn't go to my first conference until I was already in the CPOCD program, which is the level 3 certification program for those that are unfamiliar. Which means I had already gotten level 1 certificates, I had already gotten level 2 certificates, I had already started this program before I even went to my first conference. And what I found was everybody loves each other. There's just so few professional groups that you can go into where we're all doing the same thing and there's no competition. There's just complete support and love and care. You can sit down next to the founders of ICD and the founders of our industry, and they care just as much about you and your professional development and growth, almost as you do. They're like cheering you on and encouraging you. Even if it's your very first day there, they just want to see you do really well. And that's kind of support. It's just impossible to get anywhere else. So those are a few of the reasons why I stick around.
Well, those are just lots of really lovely reasons. And I'm glad I was included in that reason too. But I totally agree with you. It's like, I think the depth of knowledge is amazing. I think the depth of friendships that we have created amongst ourselves is amazing, because I do have a lot of ICD subscribers that I call them my friends, and I literally, I will call them up in the middle of the day and say, hey, what are you doing? What have you been up to? Which is lovely to be able to do that in our industry. So you touched a little bit upon the fact that you had already been an education junkie, and then you received your CPOCD, and that was your first conference. So tell me a little bit about why didn't you go to conference before?
I think probably my story isn't too different from other organizers. I am definitely a do-it-yourself kind of person, and I can figure it out on my own, and I'm very frugal. So, if I can do it on my own, if I can get the information on my own, then I'm going to go that path. So I had only been to one NAPO conference, and then I had my first ICD conference as well, after being in business for many, many years. I did not understand at that time the supreme value that existed in this organization, because I had only been kind of on the outsides, on the outskirts, looking in. I tried a couple things. I'd gone to some classes. I'd done a certificate or two, but I did not understand the tremendous potential that exists when you're at conference and when you start forming those relationships. So until I experienced it, I didn't know. I will not miss a conference unless, something major is going on. I learn so much every time I go, but it's probably one of those best kept secret kind of kind of things that until you get in there and get involved and experience it, it's hard to know what you're missing. That being said, I have been a strong advocate for making volunteerism a part of ICD membership, even at its lowest, most basic entry level, because what I find is once you start connecting with people, you find your place in the group, and you want to be there. Like, I want to go because I want to see you, and I want to see other members. I want to see Jim. Hi, Jim. When I go to conference. So there's those friendships that I've forged. So there's, obviously the knowledge and the friendships that really keep me coming back. But I didn't even know, you can go, you can listen to those classes, and you can get a lot out of it that way. But the best kept secret is what happens when you're there and when you connect with people.
I totally agree with that. And I remember how you and I really became good friends. I was chairing the 2014 conference in Nashville, and you were roomless. And you needed a place to take a nap. So you came to my room, and we hung out for several hours, and that's how you and I became best friends.
That was the year that I took my I did my peer review. Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say the best things about conference don't happen during sessions. They happen out in the hallways. They happen at breakfast. They happen at the late night parties that we don't talk about after the party. Those are the things, those are the connections you make with people, and those are the idea exchanges that we have that you would never get just from listening to a teleclass. So I'm very excited that you're not only talking about the value of conference, but how committed you are to coming to conference now that, you discovered what an amazing experience it can be. So I think that my last question is really about, I'm a CPOCD. I took mine in 2011 and you took yours as well. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about like, what has the impact of that certification been to you in your business?
It's been pretty huge, two ways. You can really equate it to getting a master's in organization.
Yep.
So it seems so unassuming. Your level 3 certification through the ICD. However, and I've got it hanging right here. I'm going to get it down. Here's the certificate. Yay. Oh, and it's reflecting. There we go. Computer.
I have mine over there too.
Nice. So it just seems like, okay, that's just a little piece of paper, but what's in that piece of paper is almost 2 years of master's level research and in-depth analysis and collaboration with peers and volunteerism that has to, and I said research, but I mean really like all the organizing books that you've read, you take them and you distill them and pull out what their meaning is, and then you relate it to the work that you're doing. You look at the work that you're doing with clients and you figure out how you could do better, where the challenges are, and strategize around it. So, so part of it is just like that information junkie part of me, just learning a lot, and then learning great presentation skills, being able to articulate the information that you're learning how to speak about organizing and the challenges that our clients face. So that's one part of it. But then the other part of it was validation of what you're doing and what you have to offer. Prior to this, I had been in business for 10 years. And still when people would talk to me, it was like, oh yeah, I'm a professional organizer. I am a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization, one of less than 100 people across the entire planet who has this knowledge and information. If we divided all of the people that have the kinds of challenges that we work with up amongst the less than 100 people that are qualified to work with them, we'd be in business until, I don't know, like several lifetimes from now. It's just, so there's this tremendous need for people who have the skill set that we have, and for people to believe in themselves and share that out with the world. So, so having that affirmation of my own skill set and the belief in myself has been another part of the certification that was really important. I mean, I love it. I love that I can sit next to people like Judith Kohlberg and Denslow Brown and Julie Morgenstern and feel completely competent in my own knowledge, that I have just as much to offer as they do, and that I can share that. That's pretty huge.
I totally agree with you on that. I think the level of knowledge that we have received through the CPOCD program makes us feel, stand strong and feel like confident in the, in the suggestions we make for clients, because organizing brain-based condition challenged clients is definitely different than organizing the average person. That just would be a bit messy. So I wondered if, do you receive more referrals from, related professionals now than you have before you took your CPOCD?
I do. I definitely do. I receive referrals from therapists, from child and family services agencies, from psychologists and psychiatrists, because they know that I'm going to take the situation that their client is facing very seriously and be an advocate for that person, that I understand them, and I'm going to be very non-judging in how I approach the situation, which, and this has more to do with a lack of understanding. There are professional organizers who through their best intentions still don't understand the kinds of situations that clients, like you said, with brain-based challenges face. And that's no fault, except that they just don't know. So, we can be advocates, and I do get referrals from those other groups because of it.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that, because when I started organizing in 2007, I thought this would be a really fun job because I would get to put pretty things in pretty bins and use a label, and I was so excited about that because I was like all about the visual stuff.
Right.
I was like, my very first client, I was like, wow, they're emotionally attached to their stuff. What is that all about, right? And that was my first realization that I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that I needed some serious help to understand people.
Yes.
And I think that's what happens to a lot of us out there. We are really good at this job, and everybody always tells us how good we are at this job. And then you get your first client and you realize you're terrible at this job and you need more help. So I was grateful to find ICD and all of the teleclasses that I was able to take, because slowly but surely I was like realizing there was so much that I didn't know that I needed to figure out, and that I needed to improve on, and that I needed to, I have always been a compassion person. I went to school to become a nurse. That didn't work out for me, but I kind of understood compassion a little bit. But I think sometimes, even taking that to the next level of understanding where our clients' needs are, right, that we may not have any awareness about. So thank you so much for saying that about learning, things that we didn't know that we didn't know.
Oh, absolutely.
And become better organizers
too, because you weren't terrible at, so your first client was a CD client, clearly, and you weren't, you weren't terrible. Like, they were drawn to you because of that compassion, and, you then took the time to learn what you needed to offer that client and to support them. My experience, my very first client was exactly the same. And at the time, ICD did not exist. NSGCD was just a part of NAPO. And what happened was, I was a NAPO member. I went to this client appointment and did my best with the knowledge that I had. And then the NAPO newsletter came out, and there was an article by Judith Kohlberg about chronic disorganization. And that was the first time I'd ever heard the word. And I'm reading this, and it's like, it described the situation exactly what I was facing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the knowledge that I needed. Clearly, it still took me a while to come and find the group and participate. And I don't know where I was going with that. However, I think that's probably an experience that a lot of people have, is they don't even know. You walk into these situations and you don't even know, and then you go, oh, wait, I heard something a little bit about this, maybe this can help my client. And I also think there's a misconception too that all the clients that we work with are hoarders, or even that they all have ADHD, which maybe they do, but and that's not entirely what ICD is about. So just kind of understanding that ICD talks about time management. We talk about obviously brain-based challenges. We talk about administering, like how to handle your clients, learning challenges. I mean, there's so much more than hoarding. So when people see ICD and they equate it with hoarding, that's not correct. I mean, we do that, but that's not all.
So that's interesting how you learned about ICD through NAPO, because I think a lot of us have learned about ICD through NAPO. That is the first place we all go to. We still belong there. We're still very supportive of our industry. So, excuse me. So, wow, I am so grateful for all of the stuff that you just shared, and for being an advocate for ICD. So if you had to boil it down, I'm going to really challenge you because we didn't talk about this in advance.
Okay.
You had to really boil down like 3 reasons why you came to ICD, why you still belong, and how you're going to stay here into the future, because I can tell you and I are not going anywhere, because we're still learning about how we can best help our clients be more successful. I think lately at ICD we've been saying we're the organization that help organizers understand why our clients are chronically disorganized and
I
how
love
to
it.
get
And did
them.
you write that down? Because that needs to be like the tagline now for ICD.
It is. Ruth Ann came up with that during one of our board meetings,
Oh,
and
Ruth
she
Ann.
is like genius, right? Because she
Yeah.
is like, we are the organizers that want to know why our clients are disorganized and how can we help them to be more organized. That is our only goal in life. So I would like to challenge you to tell me 3 reasons why you are still where you're still here and why you're continuing to support ICD.
So clearly number one is just the education. It's all there. Like, it's so easy to access. I would have to go and find it in a million different places and then draw the connections myself, which, I'm sorry, you said I was a busy mom of 3 running my own business. I am. I don't have time for that kind of silliness. So it's all here for me. So I can just go on every week and listen to another class and expand my knowledge that way, and then attend the annual conference. I'm going to stick around because there's something big that I have to offer that I know that ICD can support me in. Like, I have some research that I need to get out, and I know I can do that research and be supported in that research through ICD. So that's another reason that I stick around. And then the last one is the recognition. Being able to step into volunteer roles and hold like offices and be a leader within this group. It provides me recognition within my own professional industry, which I value a lot. I mean, I'm a little bit competitive. Like, I kind of want to be at the top of the food chain. So I'm going to stick around for that.
Well, I mean, we are so lucky to have you, right? I mean, whether you're competitive or not, we are so lucky to have you. And I am so thankful for all of your volunteering. And I am in several committees with you, and I know how much you contribute to ICD and how much, how busy you are and how much you're willing to give your time to help this organization. We are, with the exception of Jim and Beth and a couple of people in headquarters, we are like a 99% volunteer organization. So any second anybody can give us of their brilliantness is time that we all benefit as subscribers. So Nettie, thank you so much for taking time to have coffee with me. You didn't drink much coffee at all, but I sure did. And I really enjoyed getting to know you even more. Now, for my very last question, tell me something about you that I don't know.
Something about you. This is a good one. Okay. The other questions were easier.
I know. I thought I'd challenge you a little bit.
But you kind of know this, but I love to dance. And so I'd love, like, at some point in the near future to be like in competitive ballroom dancing.
That's something about you I didn't know, so thank you for sharing that. Anyway, so thank you so much for taking time out of your busy afternoon to hang out with me, and I can't tell you to volunteer more because you already do that, so thank you so much for sharing the knowledge, and I'll see you soon.
People.
Oh, you have a little one. Hi, little one. She's not into the coffee with Cris.
No, she's not into the coffee with Cris.
All right, Eddie, then I will see you soon.
All right. Thanks. Thank you for this time. I enjoyed our
Welcome.
conversation.
Bye.
Bye.